Welcome back to another episode of the Boro4Boro podcast, where we take a bite out of the Big Apple real estate scene. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the evolution of the home buying process, not only here in New York City, but on a national level. And our guest, Nikki Merkerson, through her company PairGap, are on the cutting edge of what I believe, and many of us would believe, is really the future. But as always, I'm Matthew Wynter.
I'm Isaiah Ajala.
And we're here with the one and only Nikki Merkerson.
I'm Nikki Merkerson.
Welcome to the pod, Nikki.
Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you for joining us. So for those at home who are not familiar with you or with PairGap, what's the quick elevator pitch of why it's the hottest company out that they never heard of?
PairGap is changing the way people are buying homes. And so we are building the infrastructure for collaborative home ownership. So people who are looking to purchase property that are not married, we help them facilitate that process. We provide protection layers, and we really just give a space for people to do these transactions safely.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's really just providing that infrastructure for you to be able to go from the idea of buying a home to really being able to do so with someone who is not your partner. Is that
Absolutely. Right? I mean, they are your partner, right? It is a partnership. But we think of it like a business partnership, and the house becomes the business. And so we provide the tools that you need to, one, find the right partner, making sure you're vetting them, even if you're related to them, even if, you've known them for a long time. Some people don't know them financially.
Right.
And so we help partners vet one another. And then we also add that protection layer with our real estate prenup that goes over all the what ifs that can happen in these transactions. And then we become the operating system for the actual asset. So for the home, making sure that buyers create a space where they can manage that property, where they can choose, how they split responsibilities and exit strategies, and just really be able to manage the partnership.
Right. So I really like the concept of PairGap, right? But I want to know from you, why and how PairGap? Was there something that happened in your life? Was there, because we were talking beforehand, and it was said that you had moved a certain 22 times before you bought your first property. So was there a catalyst behind PairGap? What happened before you started the program? I mean, the company.
I often think about that. I feel like my entire life's journey has brought me to this moment.
Right.
Because I grew up with housing insecurity. I moved around a lot when I was young. I left home at 17. And I was able to purchase my first home at 27.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always
Kudos to you.
tried to, it was in my late 20s.
Where was that? Brooklyn, Queens?
I bought in Brooklyn. Yeah, I'm from Queens.
You're
Of
from
course you did.
Queens.
I'm from Queens.
What you purchased in Brooklyn?
But I purchased in Brooklyn. There was a lot happening in Brooklyn
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
And I was priced out of Harlem. I really fell in love with brownstones. I used to work that market, and I was priced out of Harlem. And so I was able to, I had a friend who purchased in Bed-Stuy.
Right.
And they purchased a brownstone. And it was much cheaper at that time than Harlem. And because I was priced out of Harlem, I started exploring Brooklyn. And I got with this real estate agent who really showed me the ropes. And he said, if you buy in this neighborhood, which was Bed-Stuy, you're going to be a rich woman. And I listened to him. And that was 20 years ago. Wow. And so I purchased 2 properties in my 20s. And then by the time I was 40, my properties had doubled, tripled, quadrupled. And
Made
I
you
was
the rich
able,
woman that he said you were.
well, not rich, right? But I was on my path to wealth.
Right.
I was able to resign from my corporate job after almost 25 years.
That's amazing.
Nice. Well done.
In real estate, right, and mortgage banking, and then launch PairGap to help other people, be able to achieve their dream of home ownership.
So you said you worked in banking, and obviously you were a homeowner many times over in your own right. What was the gap that you were seeing in the market through your lived experience or through your professional experience where you're like, no one's paying attention to this thing, and I feel like it can either just shine a light on it or just improve it altogether?
It didn't quite go like that. It was more, I was working in low to moderate income communities and realized that it wasn't just low to moderate income families that was having trouble buying. It was working class, middle class, like me, people like me. And so I wanted to find a solution to fill that gap for people who didn't qualify for those grants, right? But was still priced out of the market. And so that's how I was able to come up with PairGap.
You know, what you said actually resonates with me, right? So not my first sale, but my first sale on the buy side in real estate actually happened because I had a rental unit in East New York, and 3 sisters had come in to rent. It was a 4-bedroom house in East New York on New York Avenue. Is it New York Avenue? I think it's New York Avenue, East New York. Anyway, they came in, they wanted to rent. And obviously when you're renting in New York, you have to provide pay stubs, taxes, so on and so forth. And I looked at their pay stubs, I looked at their taxes, and combined, I think they were making about $150. I think one of them was earning $70, the other one was earning $30K a year, and the last one was earning $50K a year. And I was like, guys, you realize that you can actually buy, right? If you guys combine it together, you're looking to live together anyway. Right. If you guys combine your income together, depending on how your credit is, you can actually buy a house. Fast forward, they actually pulled their resources together and were able to buy like a 6-bedroom house out in Queens. They were living in East New York at the time, and they never even thought that they could buy. They bought a 6-bedroom house in Queens, and since then, they haven't told me, but I know their income has gone up, and I know they're actually primed to like buy something again. I know the property that they bought has gone up in value, and their income has gone up. So for those watching this show right now that are actually renting, how does PairGap help them? How can you get them on the property ladder?
Well, I think what you said was critical. I think most people don't think that they can buy a home.
Right.
And I love the fact that you were able to educate them and say, hey, what are you doing? Like, you can buy something.
Yeah.
And once they had that realization, they were able to move forward with it. I mean, I think it's just that sometimes to get people over the edge to say, you can participate in this.
Right.
And so, yeah. What was your question again?
Sorry, I know that was long-winded.
Sorry, no, but, that caught my, because that happens so much. Like, sometimes it's just the belief,
Right.
And giving somebody the power to believe that they can actually own
and create the path.
Create the path,
especially with things being so expensive. So I think that's the first step, is that mindset.
The mindset, right? And my question was how to those listening right now that are renting, that would hope to get on a property ladder. Obviously, New York is, it's quite expensive. Yeah. What would be your message to them, and how can you get them onto the property ladder?
Well, I would say the first step is, besides the belief, right? Now you already believe that you can buy. Now, start talking about it, right? Because you don't know if you have someone in your immediate circle that might be thinking the same thing, right? And so the first step is really to start talking to people within your circle and telling them what your goal is to buy a home, right? Because that's really how you can see who's on the same page. And then really, once you figure out who you can partner with, then see how much you can qualify together. Obviously, the first step is to see what your individual buying power is. But then what can you afford with that individual buying power? And if you can't afford where you want to purchase, then see what it looks like with a partner, right? How much more income do you need to be able to afford that brownstone in Brooklyn or that multifamily in Queens, right? And so it's really running the numbers to see how much you need to qualify in the neighborhood that you want to live in. Once you get that, then it's really about seeing if you're both on the same page, right? Do I have the same long-term and short-term goals as you? I want to fix property and flip it, right? You want to buy and hold. That wouldn't work with a partnership. So really making sure, one, what's your investment strategy, right? And then once you kind of figure out that you guys make good partners, then it's a matter of where you want to live. What type of property do you want to buy? And so is that a multifamily? I know we talked about multifamilies, and that's the only way to do it. But people do these transactions with single-family homes, right? You have multi-generational families that are already living together. As a matter of fact, over 40% of America is living together, right? They're doubled up. Or that number is higher in New York City.
Yeah. Rent's too damn high.
Yeah, rent's too damn high, and people have no choice but to actually pool their resources and live together. Right. And so, it really starts with finding the right partner, where you want to live at, what type of property you want to live in, and then going through the process of vetting each other. And that's what PairGap does. We provide those tools that you need to be able to vet one another. Besides the long-term and short-term goals, how long do I want to stay at the property? Am I single now, right? What if I get married?
Right.
And
all
so, all the what ifs. And that's where the prenup comes in. The prenup goes over all those what ifs, right? What if I get married? What if one of us passes away, right? What if I lose my job or I can't pay anymore? Right. Or what if I just simply don't want to be in this partnership anymore, right? It's too difficult. The conflict is too much. How does that look? How does that exit strategy look? And so we give buyers the tools from the time they think about buying with someone until they close, and then beyond closing and being able to manage that property, knowing what that split is, all partners, and just really an operating system that operates that asset.
So on that, let me ask you this question. So somebody's going to watch this show, right? They're definitely going to get in contact with you the next day, right? What does that look like from the moment they reach out to you, say, hey, Nikki, me and my roommates were interested in buying a house. Talk us through that moment there to the closing table. How does that look? What do they need? How are you going to guide them?
Well, they would come on by downloading our app, and our app is out.
It's nice. Out. Congratulations.
And thank you very much. Yeah. So similar to a dating site, they're going to build their profile, right? And so they're going to, include their income, their assets, their credit scores, and build up that profile to see what their individual buying power is. Because before you get into any partnership, you have to self-assess, right? What am I bringing to the table? And once you understand that, now they can start to vet partners. And so they would get some matches, and we match buyers based on financial compatibility. And we use 4 pillars. And the first pillar we look at is money philosophy. Like, how do you think about money? What's your financial behavior? Some people have baggage, right, when the way they grew up and how their parents treated money. And so really asking specific questions around how they view money. The second is really their attachment style and how they handle conflict. And so in a co-buying transaction, conflict is inevitable. Yes. Right? Conflict is going to happen. But how do you handle conflict? How do you act under pressure? Right? And so...
Or at least how do you think you act under this situation?
How do you think? But see, that's where the line of questions come in, right? Asking for specific questions that really focus on how you handle conflict. Right. And then the next one is how you think about life, right? What's your long-term and short-term goals? And, what's your goals, right? Yeah. What do you plan to do with the property in the future or in general? And then it's all about behavioral compatibility. And it really predicts real world scenarios. And so we go through these line of questions to really flesh out how individuals think about money and partnership and home buying. And then once we go through that vetting process, again, we want to help protect buyers. Once those buyers kind of go through that process, then it's time to protect them, right? Yeah. But there's also communication tools, right? Let me not skip that. Yeah. So there's different communication tools. Once they get a partner, they invite them onto a dashboard that's shared, and then they can go through those vetting tools, build their prenup,
Right.
And then once they're ready to buy, we connect them with all the partners in the transaction. So we have the agent, we have the lender. We also have an attorney because our prenups can now get attorney reviewed. So it can be reviewed by an attorney, it can be e-signed and also notarized. And then once they close, they have access to the dashboard where they manage.
So it's not just technology. Technology is obviously a big part of this,
Yeah.
but it has the human aspect. There's there's your team, but then there's also a real attorney involved to make sure that everything is actually on point and that there's no loopholes that could potentially fall through. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to have those hard conversations up front, right? You want to be able to talk things through. And, you know, I know everybody's using ChatGPT, but ChatGPT cannot create a contract, right? There's always, you know, those gaps that you need to close.
Yeah.
And so this is a contract. You need an attorney. We have an attorney on staff that reviews every contract that goes through our system.
No, I think so. Clearly, you have it fleshed out where what's already to many people what feels like a very complex process.
Yeah.
Buying a home is not easy. No one's ever going to tell you that. But even if you want to purchase a home with someone, if I wanted to buy this home with Isaiah in Queens, because I know that's where he wants to be, this process, you already have a concierge that's there, that's done this and has success stories that we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, I want to hear a little bit more about the inner workings of how do you know that this is the right person, or what's the exercise that you do that can take you from, okay, maybe this is what I want to do to now I found a property. Like, what are those steps? So we're going to take a quick break. Don't you go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to have more with Nikki and the PairGap team.
From residential and commercial closings to litigation, Romer-DeBoss is your full-service real estate law firm. We blend big firm knowledge with boutique-level attention, delivering outcomes that exceed every expectation. Contact us at romerdeboss.com.
I'm Brian Scott Cohen, one of the top loan originators in the country, and the #1 mortgage originator at Guaranteed Rate Infinity. Guaranteed Rate Infinity arguably has the most advanced tech in the industry. Our completely digital loan process makes it easy and efficient for homeowners, from a 15-minute pre-approval to the digital application and through closing. My team and I would love to help you get into the home of your dreams.
Welcome back to Boro4Boro. So right before the break, we were doing a deep dive with Nikki from PairGap, learning more about her amazing company and all of the ways that they're revolutionizing the home buying process. But I actually want to take a little deeper of a step into, let's say, you know, I have this idea and I want to be able to purchase a home and I'm on board to do this. How do I know and evaluate specifically who the right person is? Because if we're using the dating analogy, you know, someone can look great on a profile, but in the real world, it could be a train wreck. So what are the steps, whether there's something specifically that's in PairGap or just in general, what are the things that I should be looking for in really being able to identify who is the right person for me?
I think we're in a space where trust is a big issue.
Yes.
Right? So you have to, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build trust and build transparency, and we're really designing around transparency, trust, and just consent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to give this information up.
So
And
I'm able to, sorry to cut you off, but I'm able to share what or I don't want to be able to share? Like, how much of my information do I have to, at minimum, share? And are there things that I can specifically share?
Well, you can choose what you want to share.
Oh, okay.
And so you can control what information you want to share. But what I would ask you is, why wouldn't you want to share? Right?
Well, I'm scared.
What is the
People are
big
crazy.
deal about sharing? But what can they actually do with your information if you share it and you say, listen, I make $150,000 a year. Right. My credit score is this. I have this much in savings. Mm-hmm. What can someone actually do with that information?
Well, I guess the question would be, what information is being shared? Is social security number being shared?
Well, we're not sharing actual social security numbers,
Right.
but we are sharing information about your financial profile.
Right.
And a lot of people like to hold that sacred, right?
Right.
And they're like, I'm not telling anybody how much I make. But in this situation, transparency is key. The more transparent you are, the better partner you'll find. And so I think, especially in certain communities, trust is an issue.
Absolutely.
But then we're in a world now, if you don't trust systems, if you don't trust apps, if you don't, then you lose that connection, right? And so I would think about this as the same way. You got to go into it, one, being open, right? That you are going to disclose this information. And then it depends on how bad you want it, right? It's either you can't buy a house on your own, you buy with partners, but you don't want to trust them. So then what's the alternative?
Right. So it's funny you mentioned trust, right?
Yeah.
Last week I was sitting with a young lady who had just bought a co-op in Crown Heights. And she was lamenting the fact that she couldn't afford a brownstone in Bed-Stuy, which she really wanted. And she was blaming realtors. She was like, oh, you guys price houses too much. I was like, nothing to do with us. I'm just following the orders from my client.
Right.
Anyway, so I said to her, listen, you have a lot of siblings. I think she had like 8 siblings or something. And I was like, you have a lot of siblings. Why don't you partner up with your siblings and buy a townhouse? And I could immediately see that there was a lack of trust amongst her siblings. She was like, I don't want to do that with my siblings. I don't know. She's like, blah, 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 blah. So I guess my and I've always been a big advocate of, like, I call it group economics, of like friends coming together, siblings coming together, like mum and child coming together.
Have you ever thought about it?
I thought about it, but I don't need to. I have mine.
You mean you don't trust me, Isaiah? We just said he's going to buy a property with me in Queens.
Well, it won't be in Queens. That's we're already
down a match.
Well, this is Boro4Boro. I'm on the Queens side. I was born in Queens and raised in Queens,
But
and now I live in Brooklyn.
Right. You were in Brooklyn, which is more
You hear how her voice is wet, but now I live in Brooklyn. But no,
and you also heard she's a rich girl.
That's true. That's true. That's true. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, let's say you have that situation. You know, you have the attorneys. You know, that your process is clearly tight, and you have attorneys who can make it relatively easy to get in or out, if needed.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
And sorry, let me just.
I'm sorry.
No, I just want to add on that. So again, based on that, right? How are you building a product that only not? Because obviously people have a lack of trust for the financial systems, but how do you build a product that helps people's trust of humans as well?
Yeah.
Verification.
Okay.
So I feel like part of trusting somebody is to verify, right? And so we allow buyers to state whatever income, assets, and credit just to get people in the door. But what really solidifies that is the verification, is making sure what you're saying is actually true. Right. And that's the first level of trust, right? It's like, okay, he said he made that. You said, you have that much in the bank, and he actually did. He wasn't lying. Yeah. So to me, that breaks that barrier. It's like, okay, boom, I said everything, and I can back it up.
Yeah. Right. But then let's play this scenario out in a worst case scenario, because I think that's probably, if I would imagine, what most people who you have these conversations around, they're thinking of the worst case scenario. Yeah. So let's just say 5 years down the line, I decide that maybe I didn't want to be in Brooklyn after all, or this is not the right property for me, or I lose my job or something happens. What does it look like to be able to get out?
And that's what that asset management is for. One, you have the prenup that already predetermines what happens if a scenario happens, right? Okay. We go over different scenarios. We utilize AI to be able to, help buyers think about different scenarios that can come up. But then also, we have this dashboard once you close to manage the asset, and you can see what your buyout options are. And so in 5 years, what does that look like? How much is the property value now? And it really helps buyers determine if it's the right time to buy to cash out. Do you want to keep the property, but then maybe have someone live in it in your place, so that you're not, coming out of pocket for it. You can move out and pay for something else, and someone else can be paying for that space. And so that's the whole point of being able to look at these things before they actually happen, so that you can mitigate some of the risks. And we did that using, focus groups. We had focus groups with several attorneys. We looked at different cases and why these things go wrong. And the biggest reason is due to conflict, right? And so if we provide these conflict resolution tools ahead of time, and during that partnership, and I want you to think of it as a business partnership, and the house is the business. There are already protections in place for partners in business. And so, these are business partners.
The service, is it only for first-time home buyers, or can investors also use the service?
Both, and that's the good thing about anyone who comes on a platform can choose their arrangement. And so if you want to come on and live in a property, then you can. If one party is going to live there, the other party is not. Maybe they're already primary resident and they want to purchase with a first-time home buyer. That's ideal, right? The first-time home buyer is able to actually get in the market, and they're able to increase their real estate portfolio.
So you can almost filter for that upfront.
Oh, absolutely.
From day one.
Yeah, you can filter for everything, right? Just like a dating site. You can put what you like, what you don't like, right? I want somebody with a boat. That was my profile. I like
that was her with the boat because she the rich one. But I'm almost picturing, again, your app is now in the App Store. So again, that is a phenomenal step for your company. But I'm almost picturing now the same way that people are doom scrolling late night on Tinder or whatever the apps are these days. And now they're going to be on PairGap trying to find somebody who they can purchase a home with, which is a big step in the right direction towards home ownership.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we were swiping for love. Now we can swipe for finances, right? I mean,
love of money.
Do people even look at love first, or are they looking at finances nowadays, right? When they're looking for partnership.
That's true.
And then less people are getting married now, but they still want to reach the goal of home ownership. And so when you can find someone that you're financially compatible with, it changes the game.
100%. So we're going to take one more quick break. And before we wrap up with Nikki, when we come back, I actually want to find out, where do Isaiah and I and the rest of the team, where do we fit into this? Because obviously this is a great idea, but I'm sure that there are people who can help evangelize or really help make this process a lot smoother that maybe we're just not realizing exists. So stay right there. We'll be right back. And looking forward to continuing the convo.
Preparation is what turns a complex move into a seamless one. At Roadway, white glove moving isn't defined by speed, it's defined by control. Every successful move follows what we call the Roadway method: structured pre-planning, building coordination, insurance, compliance, and clear accountability handled before move day begins. Supported by a national fleet, integrated storage, and VIP level protocols, Roadway is built to manage complex high-value moves. Roadway Moving and Storage, trusted by agents to protect the client experience.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
Welcome back to Boro4Boro. So once again, we're here with Nikki talking about PairGap, and you're sitting with two realtors who are interested. And even if it's not Isaiah and I purchasing a home together, how is it that we can help evangelize it? Is it talking to our clients about the idea of co-buying, or is it something else? What does that actually look like?
Well, the thing is that for this to work, we all need to work together, and that's all the partners, real estate, lenders, and really educating clients. How many buyers would you say is in your pipeline right now that were pre-qualified and still can't find a property that they can afford? How many do you have? And so we got tons of people in the pipeline. This is low-hanging fruit that are priced out. And so this is a great way to get them back in, right? Call your pipeline and say, hey, we got a way that you can get in the New York market. And create, education. Education is key. And so right now we're on a tour. Our first, we're starting in New York City. And so we're visiting all the 5 boroughs. We're in partnership with JP Morgan Chase in their community branches and really bringing education. And I think the best way to tackle the fear is through knowledge. And so that's what we're doing. And so it's a great opportunity for agents, lenders to bring in their clients and introduce them to a new way that they can achieve their goals of home ownership. It's not too late. I know New York is turning into, a city of billionaires. But we need to have that mix of every income being able to participate in the market.
Absolutely.
Are you only in New York City or are you national?
So we're a national company. We have partnerships in New York City. We have partnerships in the Bay Area in California. We really like high cost markets, right? Where not just, low to moderate income families, but really just the middle income.
You get the
The
full range.
working class people, right? Nurses, police officers, the people who did everything right and they still can't achieve the goal of home ownership. And so this is an opportunity for them to get together, collaborate, and be able to accomplish the goal.
Do you know what? I think this would be great for city workers.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of from my knowledge, they have to live in the city to work for the city, maybe.
Right.
And a lot of them can't afford even rent. I had someone reach out to me last week who's a CEO, and it's like her income, she's gonna have to get something below $2,000 in terms of rental. But if they can combine their resources, that would be. I think this platform is great for them. Now I want to switch gears a little bit, right? I want to talk about innovation.
Okay.
So we're in a world now of AI, right? We're in a world where, especially in real estate, people want to take people away from each other, right? We have Zillow, iBuy, and we have faceless apps now, especially with AI, it's kind of more individualistic. Now with PairGap, you've gone the other way where you're bringing people together, right? Talk to us about that journey and how innovation in this new world, how you see PairGap in this new world.
I mean, I see PairGap as a way in, but this will be how people are going to buy homes in the future, right? We're already sharing everything.
Right.
Why not share in building wealth? And even if you look across the country, everything is being built in community, And so this is not far from it. And so PairGap will definitely revolutionize the way people buy homes.
I mean, there was a stat that said on Zillow, 1 in 8 homes are being co-purchased. And again, that's in different types of pairings. But like you said, this isn't something that's net new. You didn't invent co-buying, but what you are doing is innovating it, streamlining it, and making it a lot more accessible for folks at home.
And creating a place for them to transact.
Right.
If you think in 2024, there were 276 billion loans that closed for non-married buyers. That's a huge number. And yet we still don't, or people don't have a place where they can go and transact and make sure that they're going into these transactions safely. So it's about time.
Right.
And now there's an app to be able to do it.
Absolutely. So when you ask me about PairGap in the future, this is the future.
Right. I have 2 more questions. One of them, right? Well, second to last question is with PairGap, right? I know you've done a lot of studies on potential issues that could happen. From your point of view, from the issues that you, and from your research, what are some of the typical issues that could happen, and how would PairGap kind of navigate that?
I think the biggest thing is the exit. Right? People are always saying, how can I get out of this if it doesn't work? And so I think that's where we come in and be able to have those conflict resolution strategies through our prenup, so that people can not only become partners and purchase homes, but they can sustain. These partnerships will last, ownership will last, and they'll continue to transact, because in real estate, once you buy once, it's addictive.
You get
Right,
It's
yeah, definitely. I guess my last question now is, 5-10 years from now, PairGap is everything you envisioned, right? It's a success. It's global, not even national, it's global. What does that look like for you?
Well, for me, it would be satisfaction. I can tell you, when I started, just the idea in 2017, people were like, no way. I would never, ever do that. And just to see how far we've come, and just to think about the future and where we're going, this is going to be the way that we buy real estate, especially in high-cost cities. And again, we're already doing so many things together that it's about time that real estate caught up.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm, let's play that 5-year scenario. I mean, unfortunately, the rate at which rents are going. I mean, unfortunately, people are going to be priced out. And so if there's already a solution that exists to have them start at least thinking about the fact that you can actually purchase a home, as you said, education, just the knowledge alone. In 5 years, the more you educate people on it, and unfortunately the rents keep going higher, if you continue to get people who are more on board with this, maybe that becomes the more norm. And then that puts the pressure on the powers that be to find a way to bring down the rents, and everything levels out. It makes it a little bit more of a level playing field, and the American dream becomes a little bit more of a reality for everybody else.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think people are getting smarter now, which is a good thing, right? And I think that even though I started this years ago, or the idea of it, people are finally coming around, and they're saying, what's the alternative, right? I can continue renting and paying my landlord's mortgage, or I can get with some people that are like-minded, right, that we have similar goals to actually reach our goals faster through collaboration.
You just had to build it, and they were already going to be there and find it.
And that's what we need to do more of, invent, right? I know, us in the real estate industry, we always see things that, why do they do this or why do they do that? But guess what? We can actually change it. We're in a space that we can change it, and we can invent a new way of doing things. And so PairGap is that.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for this, Nikki.
Thanks for having me.
It's always great chatting with you, but especially learning more about your company. You're doing amazing things. Your app is on the App Store now, but let's say someone at home is interested in learning more. Where can they reach you, and where can they find out more?
So one, they can go to PairGap.com, but they can also buy my book. So I have a book called Paired, and it's all you need to know about getting started. Even if you thought about it, you discussed it with your family, share the book. And it'll really help buyers kind of get on the same mindset and of ownership.
And just to clarify, PairGap is PAIRGAP, right?
That's right. We're
not like the fruit.
No,
not like the fruit.
not the fruit.
I was
We're
like, I'm hungry
pairing
now.
people together
Right.
to fill the gap.
Okay.
PairGap.
Thank you so much. So
Pleasure having you.
Yes, thank you very much. Give it up for yourself. This has been another great episode of Boro4Boro. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, do all the things to make sure that you're in the know, to find out about amazing companies like PairGap, but also go back and watch some of our other great episodes and be on the lookout for our new ones. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business. And it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.